Welcome to another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. And let's get right to it. So, Bulls versus Pacers, I think was an underrated rivalry. And I talked about that several videos before. But, it was interesting because four players, okay? Reggie Miller and Chuck Person versus Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, okay? Now, Reggie Miller was really the only person who got under Michael's skin, okay? And that's how good Reggie Miller was, okay? Chuck Person and Reggie Miller had just a fun rivalry with Jordan and Pippen in the early years, okay? And I can remember reading during their early confrontations in the early part of the 90s. The Bulls were playing the Pacers at home, and Reggie Miller was being so agitated that Scottie Pippen was going to the hole one time. And as in the process of going to the hole, he lost control of the ball because he was trying to elbow Reggie Miller in the head. Okay? That's how agitating Reggie Miller and Chuck Person could be. Okay? And Reggie Miller told the story. Well, it was actually Ernie Johnson, okay? Ernie Johnson told a story. Reggie Miller started one game in his rookie season. And ironically, he started against Chicago. Reggie Miller had 13, but Michael had 38. So, yeah. We all remember the Jordan Miller fight, Market Square Arena in 1993. They threw out Reggie Miller, but they didn't throw out Jordan. Oh man, yeah. So those are just some of the moments. Then there was during the 1996 season, where Jordan and Pippen, I think, became the first starting players in NBA history to have 40. They played the Pacers in Market Square Arena during the 96 season. And Jordan had 44 and Pippen had 40. Okay. So, needless to say, the Bulls won. And there's the incredible 7-game series in 1998. There was only one blowout that whole series. That was Game 5. That was the only blowout. That was the only blowout of the series. All the other games were close. Heart stopping. And Michael nearly put the Bulls up 3-1. If you remember, he put up a shot that rimmed out. So Bulls were this close from a 3-1 series lead. But then again, if Scottie Pippen didn't miss those 2 free throws, hey, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Anyway. Jazz Rockets. And these two teams met in the playoffs 94, 95, 97, 98. And at first it was one-sided. Houston easily brushed them aside 4-1 in the Western Conference Finals in '94. Then the Jazz, who won 60 games that year, they were actually leading the Rockets 82-75. And Houston went on a run. And came back and won that game. And so that pretty much propelled them to their second straight title. And then it was 1997. We all know what happened in Game 6. Stockton hits the game winner, series clincher. But people seem to forget that Eddie Jones hit the game winner in Game 4 that tied the series at 2. I remember I was at a family reunion, and when I still remember that Eddie Jones celebration to this very day. I still remember that, not Eddie Jones, but Eddie Johnson. Eddie Johnson put his hands up in Eddie Johnson just couldn't believe it. So in Game 6, the Rockets led by 13, but Stockton brought them all the way back. And I did want to see a Bulls Rockets finals, but I also kind of wanted to see Bulls Jazz too. So, then there was 1998 where the Jazz met the Rockets in the first round. Jazz won 3-2. And so, let's see, it was a short-lived rivalry between, well, no. I think Golden State and Seattle. I say Golden State and Seattle was a rivalry. Briefly. And it all started when in Game 2 of the 1992 NBA playoffs, first round, where Sean Kemp recalls that the Warriors were giving some pretty hard fouls, and Alton Lister gave Sean Kemp a hard foul in that game. And a little scuffle ensued. So you all remember Sean Kemp. Kemp. Then we all remember the famous point. And then so that was the backstory behind it. So Sean Kemp tells a story. The Warriors were given some pretty hard fouls in Game 2. So when Sean Kemp dunked on Alton Lister, that's where the point came from. And then we all remember Sean Kemp had another dunk in that game. Chris Gatling blocked the Sean Kemp shot. Kemp got it back and then dunked on Chris Gatling. And Chris Gatling was like, yeah, baby, nice dunk. Oh, man. Oh, my God. Yeah. What opposing player gives the opposing player who just dunked on him dap? But, hey, that's what made the NBA so great in the 90s, okay? That's what made the NBA so great in the 90s. I remember the Celtics were playing the Clippers in Los Angeles in 1991. And Larry Bird hit a clutch 3, okay? And Ken Bannister actually gave Larry Bird dap. Like, nice shot. And that's the NBA in the 90s. That's the NBA in the 90s. of course, Knicks Pacers. I would say the rivalry really started when Reggie Miller, Reggie Miller was headbutted by John Starks. Ironically, Reggie Miller was talking trash as he always does, and he was like, "John, you're a starting point guard. Look at the stats, man. Look at the stats." And then John Starks went like, I know what you're trying to do." And so then Reggie Miller was like, "What? Do what? Do what? Let's just play ball. Play ball." And so John Starks was complaining to the refs in Game 3 of the 1993 playoffs. Knicks versus Pacers, first round. It was Game 3, and John Starks was complaining to the refs because he said Reggie Miller kept hitting him with elbows. And the refs were like, "Hey, be quiet. Play. Be quiet. Play." Okay? And so then John Starks was like, "Okay, if he keeps hitting me with elbows, it's going to be he on." And Patrick Ewing said, because John Starks was getting red in the face, and he said, "John, don't do nothing stupid, man. We need you." So, and ironically, what's more ironic about this is John Starks had just scored. John Starks had just scored at the other end. And so they're running back down the court. Reggie Miller must have said something. I know Reggie Miller said something to agitate him, because all of a sudden John Starks just said, "Doink." And needless to say, Patrick Ewing and Charles Oakley tore him to shreds. And when that happened, there was no argument on the part of the New York Knicks. There was no argument on the part of Coach Riley, Ewing, because they were all upset that John Starks had did something stupid, like Ewing told him not to do. So that's where the rivalry started. And so I guess that's where the booing, because you remember Knick fans booed Reggie Miller. Then, of course, the 25-point fourth quarter, the 8 points in 13 seconds. And Mark Jackson recalls. And Mark Jackson recalls after Reggie Miller hit 2 threes, Sam Mitchell fouls John Starks. Mark Jackson was like, "We watched John's eyes, and he wanted no parts of those foul shots." And so John Starks said he was more focused thinking about what happened the previous play at the other end of the court. And Starks misses both. Ewing grabs the rebound, misses. Reggie Miller gets possession. And Reggie Miller hits 2 free throws. And the Knicks had no timeouts left. So they inbound the ball to Greg Anthony. Greg Anthony dribbles to the corner of the court, and he stumbles. Game over. Game over. And so, of course, Ewing missed a finger roll in Game 7. They met again in 98. Pacers won 4-1. Then the lockout season, Knicks won in 6 games. Eastern Conference Finals, first 8 seed to get to the NBA Finals. Then the Knicks again advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals. This time the Pacers won 4-2 and advanced to the NBA Finals. So yeah, a lot of good memories. A lot of good memories of good rivalries. Jazz and Sonics was brief too. They met in 1992, 1993, 1996, and I believe in 2000. Sonics won in 92. That's where Jazz won in 92. Then Sean Kemp outplayed Karl Malone in 93. Then the Sonics won again in 96 in a 7-game series to advance to the NBA Finals, and the Sonics played the Jazz again in 2000 and nearly won. Took the Utah Jazz to 5 games, but the Jazz ended up winning. So yeah. All right. That's it. And that's all for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. I'm out of here. Peace out. God bless.